Good afternoon, staff. The last subject I want to touch base on with this video is student expectations. And this brings about a lot of different areas of what we expect out of our students. Of course, we want them to be successful in school, and in order for them to be successful, there's certain things that we must require them to do. I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 different points, areas that we constantly stay after students about. The first one, of course, is our tardy policy. We want kids to be on time. I think with our tardy policy, we're teaching them the importance of getting somewhere, for example, a job, and getting there at the appropriate time. And so we try to teach that and model that in a school environment. Now, of course, we have situations where students don't abide by that. So if students are not on time to your class, the expectation is for you to lock them out. Shut the door, make them go get a pass to sign in with Mr. Webb in the control room that they're tardy, and so that we can track their tardies. And that way we can handle the discipline piece that's associated with being late to school or being late to class. Very important that everybody follows that same procedure of locking kids out when the bell rings, and we stay consistent as possible with that. The second thing, of course, is dress code. And at the beginning of the school year, we always have issues with the dress code. Our dress code is pretty simple. No tank tops for boys or girls. Girls that wear a skirt, it must meet the dollar test, and that means from the top of the knee to wherever their skirt ends, it can be no longer than a dollar's length, or it has to fall inside of that dollar. It's got to touch the dollar. Boys, of course, sagging, keeping pants up around their waist, belts on, that's important. If you notice somebody that's not following these dress codes, you should send them to your assistant principal. Let them make that final call as to what needs to be done at that point. Please help us with this. It takes everybody for this to be something that's going to be effective and successful. I think if we follow this over the first few weeks of school, it sets us up for being really successful the rest of the year. So be consistent. If you have people come into your class, if you think they're in question, send them down to that assistant principal and let them make that decision. The last thing, of course, cell phones. And I think that we will be seeing some different guidelines as the year progresses as far as cell phones are concerned. But here's our rule with cell phones. They must be off. They must be put up. You cannot have your cell phone out during the school day. So that means in the morning when students arrive at school, if they come in on a bus and they get here at 7 o'clock, cell phone goes in the pocket before they come in the building. Once the bell rings at 3 o'clock, can they pull it out? Absolutely. Can a student wear their cell phone on their belt buckle? No, they cannot. It must be put up. That means in a pocket, in a purse, in a bag, and it must be off. And we will do some random searches right at the beginning of school and throughout the year. And this is oftentimes one of the main things that we constantly confiscate. So constantly tell your students to keep the cell phone off and up. And like I said, I think some of these rules may be changing from a county initiative, but we'll talk about those changes as the year progresses. The last thing I want to touch base on is calling for an escort. If you have a student in your class that is being a disruption, not following the rules that you have in place in your class, you can call for an escort at any time. You call the front office, let Ms. Smith know. She will let Mr. Walker know. Mr. Walker is our security associate. He will come to your room. He will pick that kid up. You need to make sure that that kid has their book and an assignment to do once they get to redirect. You also need to have the redirect slip so that Mr. Webb can put this kid into our discipline tracking system and we can follow their behavior. and we can build upon it as needed. Folks, always remember, if you send a kid out or if you call for an escort and you're sending that kid to redirect, a parent phone call is required. No exceptions. If you send that kid out of your room, you must contact that parent to let them know what's going on. You want to do that to build a relationship and the rapport with that parent. So make sure you're calling that parent. Keep a parent log, a contact log where you've made contact. So if your AP or myself has a question, we can go and look back at your log, and the documentation will be there. Thank you.